All right, let's go. So, day number 28 of running paid ads for my SMM agency targeting ecom business owners. And I'm just coming off a call right now with an ecom business owner. And one thing that I want to focus on this video is basically frameworks. And why do I want to focus on frameworks? And why am I using my hands like this? Well, it's because frameworks, to simplify it, is a way of looking at things in a structured way, right? Just like if you go to a surgeon, you don't want them to wing it, right? But this is what we do so many times with most of the activities that you do. So this week, actually, this is what I'm focusing on with my team here. Actually creating some SOPs, being more structured with our calendar. And this is something that I'm already doing. But for example, most high achievers in this world, right? They get to make 10K, 100K, 1 million a month because they go through phases, right? And they just find the most important things to focus on and the ones that bring the highest value for their time, right? That's why someone might charge $50 for 1 hour of their time, someone 200, someone 500, and someone 5K, right? People like, I don't know, Imangazzi probably does like 20K, Grant Cardone 50K, right? So there are definitely stages and so on. And the main thing is that it's not about necessarily the time as much as it is about the value, right? And the only way to increase the value is by being able to create predictable results, right? Because for example, I know I can help any ecom brand in this world, but the help that I give an ecom brand that makes, let's say, 1K a month, right, which is way too low, like that's not enough to cover all the expenses, versus a brand that makes 50K a month versus 100K a month versus 500K a month, there's a huge difference, right? So that's why you also need to look at who you're working with, but you also have to go through phases, right? You won't be working with the biggest clients, with the biggest brands until you go through, let's say, the smaller brands where it's actually like harder, right? Because if you put in the work and develop your skills, your framework in the beginning, then it actually becomes easier, right? That's why at one point, yeah, making money is not necessarily the hardest thing. It's just about like making more if you want, or just spending less time on work and more time on whatever the heck you want. So coming back to frameworks, if you've seen yesterday's video, I was actually showing you my, let's say, framework of writing ads, which I didn't shot yet, but other priorities in the meantime. Like I just had a call and I do have to follow up with a few people that we're in talks with about taking on their brands. So the main thing is that you do want framework so your process is more predictable, right? For example, when I jump on a sales call, I do have a framework, meaning that I know exactly almost how to go through phases, right? Like I know that, all right, we might be chatting in the beginning. Even in the last call that I had, I was chatting about the fact that I'm from Europe. The guy was also, or at least the parents were from Europe and so on, right? But after that, we went into the story of the business. What's the current status, where they might want to be, and then talking about metrics, talking about team and so on if it's necessary. So I also have a framework for that, basically around 8 categories of, let's say, topics that are important to go through in a call. Because, for example, before you actually even say one thing, there's another thing you need to take into consideration, and that's status. Meaning, like, are you in your mom's basement in, let's say, hoodie, or are you in your office, or do you have a nice setup, background, like how are you dressed, right? And these are very small details, like it won't make it or break it, meaning that it doesn't matter if I'm in a shirt or in a simple black shirt, like that doesn't matter as much, because then after you start talking of course, like these things matter less, but they still do matter to some extent, 1%, 2%, right? And that's where you gain huge, let's say, gains. You have huge gains when you have a few percentages more, right? So look at Warren Buffett. He's considered one of the best investors in the world. And if you look at his returns, it's double the ones of S&P 500. And it's actually 20% a year, right? So if you tell anyone in this world that if they have just let's say 20% per year growth for like 50 years, well, you can basically become one of the wealthiest and one of the most, let's say, successful investors of all time, which right now might seem actually easy sometimes, because with crypto you can actually make that really easy on a 3 to 5 year period, right? But the thing is, can you actually do it for a longer time? And this is where it really helps when you have a framework, because it's basically a predictable way to get results. It doesn't mean it always helps, it always works, but in most cases it will help. So that was the, I guess, pitch that I'm making here for having frameworks, because I know they will help you. They help me a lot. Unless you're like the best at just winging it all day, but I've never seen anyone in my life who has tremendous success and didn't follow some kind of framework. Decision-making framework, sales framework, ad account framework, right? Writing scripts. Even when looking at the ads, it's not like I'm not looking at the data. I do have a framework. That's basically what you're seeing when I'm actually analyzing the data in here. You're seeing my framework, although it's not written, right? Because it would actually take time. And this is why people are paying for consulting. They are paying for your knowledge and your way of looking at things. So with all of that being said, let's not forget that this series is all about running paid ads, making adjustments, which fortunately do apply to like everything that we're doing. No matter what we're doing, we're sending cold emails, we're building a SaaS, we're building an agency, we're doing door-to-door sales, we're doing marketing, design, like it doesn't matter. You can always make some improvements. And having a framework to some extent actually helps you have a starting point, and then also like improving upon that framework. So with all of that being said, let's switch the camera and look at the ad account and at the spreadsheet to look over the data in terms of the ads in the last few days. All right, so now we're back, and first let's look at the metrics, right? How much I've spent on ads recently. So as you can see, I started to spend less just because I want to test right now. And let me move the camera down here so you can see better. So what I want to test is video ads, so I will have to film them, and that's why I've started to spend less for a while here. And as you can see, there were less leads coming in. So basically 1 lead yesterday, no lead 2 days ago, no lead 3 days ago. So this was basically the weekend, and I think we've seen this pattern before. During the weekend, there are less interested leads. So with all of that being said, let's look at the ad account. So today we actually do have 1 lead, same yesterday. And let me show you where they are coming from. So it's this campaign, which is not a cost cap one. And yesterday it was from Canada. So I actually did try to connect with this person on Instagram, but I had to like request to follow them from what I remember. So I'll have to wait on that. But it's also a volumes game, right? And same here today. I think I actually had to connect with this person on LinkedIn. So I'm waiting for them to like accept the request, and then I can DM them, start a conversation and see where they are at. So basically there are leads coming here and there. Today from US, yesterday from Canada, and there's always opportunity. For example, I had a call earlier with someone from the US. I'm also working with someone from the UK right now actually, and let's see if we can also add Canada soon, right? So that's why you should be actually targeting multiple countries, either with your cold email, paid ads, and so on, because you can find the right people in most of the countries. And that's why you actually need to be there, to be out there. That's why I'm running ads right now, so I can gain visibility. And it's also, like I said, a volume game, right? Like, how many people have seen my ads recently? As you can see, a few hundred or a few thousand. And eventually some of them, like let's say someone from here, maybe in a few months, they might be interested in contacting me, you know? So that's why it's so important to create a personal brand, but also spending money on actually running paid ads, for example, or doing cold outreach, such as cold DM or cold email. But that's pretty much it from the laptop. So let's switch the camera back on. All right, so we're back here, and to end this video, basically what I want to tell you is that business, after all, is an infinite game, right? Meaning that it doesn't necessarily stop at any point, and that's a good thing, right? Because imagine this, when you are playing video games, if you are playing video games, which is highly likely, then did you like actually finishing a game and then like moving to another one and starting from zero? Maybe not, but in most cases it's much better when you can actually take what you built in one place and then like move it over. And this is something that I know crypto is trying to do to some extent, meaning that it tries to build your currency, let's say, in a game or somewhere where you play, and then being able to use that in, let's say, another game, right? And this is how life works. From every experience you have in life, you gain something and then you can use it later on. That's why the word wise exists. It's basically that, the fact that you just gained enough experience and pretty much you are, let's say, more calm in most cases because you've gone through some things. So you already understand them, you know how things are most likely to go. And I guess that's what frameworks do as well. So that's why I would highly recommend, and that's why the title of this video will be something about frameworks, because they just help and work. And you won't find anyone with success in life that didn't use a system, a framework, or a process, even unconsciously. Even if they used it unconsciously, there is a recipe to everything. And this is basically what a framework means, if you want to look at it in a different way. It's a recipe, and you do need different ingredients ordered in a specific way, right? Like you can't bake a cake if you put it in the oven without putting all the ingredients for that recipe, right? So yeah, just common sense, which is not as common anymore. So with all of that being said, that's pretty much everything for this video. Hope you took away something from it, which should be frameworks at this point. But that's pretty much it for this one, keeping it short and sweet, let's say 30 minutes, maybe like 6 or 7 if you listened at 2x speed. But till tomorrow, basically wishing you the best and peace out.